Mark, you putting that in the cup?
Oh, no, I had to switch hands on them. So I ain't have enough reach. You know what I'm saying? From my left hand, I had to put back in the
You
right.
can't put that cup down.
No.
Y'all ever notice when people hold coffee? They love holding that sucker right up here, letting everybody know you got a coffee.
You got a coffee.
You ever notice that?
Yeah.
Every time somebody be holding a
peeped that.
coffee, they have that coffee
No,
way
I don't
up here
do that,
high.
but I know what he's talking
They don't
about.
just hold a
seen
coffee
people
down
do
here.
that.
They hold that coffee way up here, and I'm like, I know you got a coffee.
All right, everybody.
Pay attention
Yeah.
next time you see somebody.
I have seen people do that. I don't.
I
do
know,
that.
like, this is your time to chill. I know you got a coffee, but don't let me know you got a coffee.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back. Anyway, welcome back to the channel. Here we are, y'all. It's 2025, man.
2025, man.
2025. When I think we've had this conversation, but this is my 9th year fishing professionally. How many years? We do this every year, but we never know how many count it all up.
9 years.
9 years. That's almost a
that's
damn
a hot
decade,
minute, bro.
That's a long time.
You almost got a deca underneath you.
That's unbelievable.
I
Yeah.
think 13. I think it's year 13 for me. 13, 14. Adrian and I started at the same time.
Same time.
2012 was 13.
I seen a
13
post.
years.
Lucas was. This is 16.
That's 2 years before me, so that's 14 for y'all boys.
13
Big
years.
dog.
That's a
That's a
long,
long time.
We've been doing this for 13,
13 years.
14 years.
14 years.
This y'all 14th season right now.
14th year.
14th season.
Yeah, because y'all
Nah.
2012. I started in 2014. This is my 12th season.
So it's 14 season.
Yeah, for y'all boys.
Dang.
Wow.
Y'all some OGs
And I still
out
don't
here.
know nothing. I mean, listen,
Yeah,
you learn this
you
stuff
learn-
every
you-
single
Hold on a
time.
minute. Let me just go ahead and start
You
the
learned
soapbox
so
up. No, you ready? There was 4-face sonar the last 4 years, so that means 10 years you were successful fishing.
Yeah, it was just,
Throwing at the bank.
I don't know. You know,
You had 10 years of success out here
Let's
without
not-
the box.
let's
Still whooping that
let's
ass.
leave that alone. It's okay. Let's leave
I
that
just
alone.
figured I'd hop in on that real quick, but anyway.
I don't care. Yeah, you know, it's okay.
Anyway,
loves
welcome back to the channel,
He
y'all. We
loves it.
appreciate y'all tuning in. It's 2025, so I just want to wish everybody a happy February New Year / the year's already started. But thank y'all for tuning in. We are glad to be back. But we have a new emergence, I think.
Yeah.
I think the tide has turned and we have a new emergence in the fishing world. We have seen it happen. We have watched it. And it is playing out in front of us, especially in the Major League Bass Pro Tour, Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour. You know, they did the change where you get one period with forward facing and then you get 2 periods without. But I'm going to tell you something. It don't even really matter, to be honest, because I think the pressure, I think these lakes have not had pressure in certain areas, pressures in other areas. You're starting to see some different baits playing.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I kind of knew that though,
100%.
and I actually did a video on that before season started, and it was like, I mean, I was like, what baits are we gonna start to see be like resurge, right?
Yay.
We've already thrown them all for years, right? But now I think you're gonna start to see tournaments, quote unquote, won maybe, or definitely high finishes.
Yeah.
On these old school, I call them old school, traditional style fishing baits, bro.
Well, that and seasonal changes,
Straight up.
seasonal patterns. I mean, dude, it's just the wintertime months. I mean, that's just part of it. The fish are really, really wanting to feed suspended tight. But we're getting into the time of year where they're not.
No, you're 100% right. I think that's the coolest thing with the format that we have this year is it truly gives the most amount of information. So if you want to know the best pattern for forward facing sonar, you get to see that.
Yes.
If you want to see the best pattern for fishing traditionally and old school, you get to see that too.
Yeah.
So
it's
you
the
get
best of both worlds.
you get the best of both worlds. So like an angler, like for the learning aspect, even for myself, like I enjoy going back and watching some of that stuff and like, wow, Those guys caught them on boat ramps, or they caught them on, the dead grass stems during this time, and like
grass stems. You heard it.
Dead grass stems.
Grass stems.
Stems.
Literally.
From the grass.
Like the red running stems.
I was really catching
not
this
that
week
red
good on
running.
grass stems.
100%. Listen, it does. Like, listen, listen, it is. Like, willowweed.
That's Mark.
Willowweed.
I've never
So
caught them
you've never
grass
caught 'em-
stems.
You've never caught them on like grass stems. Like
I have
old
caught them on pad
stems?
stems.
I've
for
caught 'em on
sure.
grass stems. I've caught them
Yeah.
on like old, like dead, like willowweed grass stems.
Like, oh, you talking about like water willow?
Water willow.
Oh, yeah.
Grass
Yeah,
stems.
yeah, I see what you're saying now.
Okay,
Like that's a grass stem. He's not in full bloom in like
oh no,
May.
running knocked over my.
Got to mighty Mark.
You got coffee in there. You let everybody know you got it. Hey, that's how they hold it.
It's right here.
That's what I'm talking
I already
about.
know. It's kinda like this mic. They hold it
I'm
right here.
like, damn, it's all in your face. We know you got a
They
coffee.
just want you to know.
Is this where we at?
You know what I low key think this means?
Don't talk to me. This is
Yeah.
my time.
It's coffee time,
Like,
bro.
imagine this coffee cup. They hold this over right here. Yeah,
Facts.
man, how you doing? All right.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
They take a sip of it because they low key want you to shut up.
Wow. They go,
Yeah, that's because he's so hot.
sounds good. Yep.
Oh, he be drinking that stuff hot.
Vinny, you quiet over there, big dog. What's going on?
Dude, man, I'm just chilling.
He just got a big back massage over here with the
Dude, that
dang,
chair about beat me up. Hey, you want to get beat up? You go sit in that chair.
So this Airbnb we're at right now has a nice massage chair over there. It looks like some like Darth Vader looking stuff over there. It looks a little different.
Adrian
Was
tried
it
you
on a
up.
scale of 1 to 10? What do you
Was it
think?
aggressive?
I feel worse.
Yeah, see?
I sat in there for about 10 minutes. I feel worse.
Hey, low key, when you actually really do get a massage, have you ever had this where you get a massage and the next like 2 or 3 days you're just sore as crap?
Hell yeah.
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 I think that's a normal thing, but I don't get a lot of massages.
Bad
Big dog,
massage.
I walked up out of there. The next
like-
day, I felt like a bus hit me. I said,
Yeah.
I ain't never doing that again.
Hey, when you find a good one, when you find you a good masseuse, you got to stick with them. That's why.
Yeah.
100%.
They beat you down.
Yeah.
Straight
Got the
up.
strongest hands, man.
Ever, bro. It's like I asked you to rub a knot out. You dislocated my rotator's cuff.
Hey, y'all ever seen them little videos? We're going on a tangent. I don't care. Y'all ever seen them little videos? We got to pull one of them up where my guy's getting in the chiropractor and they got like a skeleton body on there. He's like, yeah, we're going to readjust your back. It's like the skeleton like blows to pieces. It's like, yeah, real quick on your neck.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Hella funny, bro.
Oh me. Anyway, back to the fishing side of things. We got on a tangent. Adrian? What have you seen? A research. I know we've had Conroe, we've had Florida. What resurgence have you seen so far? That have it's not forgotten baits. They're proven staples in the sport. You just ain't seen them in a couple years play that much, but they've been playing pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing is, of course, there's going to be different techniques. And I mean, going back, I watched a bunch of live footage, just recapping some of these events. But the biggest thing is you're not seeing a guy exclusively win these tournaments staring at their screens.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody wants to see, right? Everybody wants to see us get back to our roots, wind a bladed jig around, catching them flipping, catching them cranking. And you have to implement that now in order to be able to solidify a win. Because, you can have some really good forward-facing sonar periods. And you've proved that in our first event of the year. Freaking stroked them. But you still had to get up there in the bank, and you still had to wind around and catch some. And then you caught a couple big ones on a swim bait. Like, you have to do that now. And that's cool. I enjoy that.
Conroe was a
That showed out, man. Conroe was a cool event.
Conroe's got a lot of bass in it for forward-facing sonar. Period. After that, it got kind of grindy. I'll say that. But here's the thing, though. So I was particularly trying. I knew it didn't really matter for many guys. Not many guys caught numbers of bass without their electronics. Just a few guys did. So I wasn't on particularly trying to catch a lot of fish. I knew I wasn't going to catch a lot of fish, but if I grinded for 5 hours and if I got 5 bites and they weighed 19 or 20 pounds,
Right.
that was because I was catching them on that mare.
Yep.
You know, I posted a
Yep.
reel on there on my social. If you guys hadn't followed me or any of these guys on Instagram, we post a lot of stuff on Instagram too. But I posted a reel on there, and I noticed there was a lot of pressure in that area, and the tournament ended up getting won there. What was actually absolutely crazy is I started on the winning spot and I ended on the winning spot. Mark Daniels did the same thing. It was unbelievable.
Unreal, bro.
And
It's
so-
crazy how that is.
yeah, I mean, I literally was on the winning everything about it. I was sitting 80 yards from Cooper, from Justin. I could literally talk to him.
Hell, I was closer than that.
And then after that, whenever he got done there, he went back in Caney, and I was 80 yards from him there. I went through a jerkbait the first day a little bit, and then it was real cloudy, and they didn't really want to bite. But in practice, I'd caught a couple big ones back in there, and I'm like, I'm going to go in there. Well, anyway, the tournament was won in there, but I noticed everybody was throwing chatterbaits. Everybody was throwing vibrating jigs and all this other stuff. I said, dude, I'm going to change to this mare. And I wasn't getting the numbers of bites, but every one I got was a freaking biggin. I said, dude, if I do this for 5 hours, if I generate 5 bites in 5 hours, I have me a 20-pound deal
Yep.
to tap on to what I had already
Yeah.
did. So there is a motive and a method behind a lot of these guys, game plan. So, but we did see some baits resurge at Conroe. Trap,
Lipless.
He was
lipless.
outside. Trap was outside at Conroe.
Yeah.
Hey, my feelings is hurt low key, cause y'all know I'm a trap
they?
guy.
Yeah.
And
Talk to me about this trap,
Listen,
man.
I caught 0 bass on a rattle trap, bro, at Conroe, and I tried and I pushed it in practice. I pushed it in the derb some too, but I was just getting far more action as what you spoke of earlier, Dustin. I was one of them guys winging chatterbaits every which way. The chatterbait was playing for me a lot better, and so I just kind of locked in with him and mixed in a couple other baits too, but mostly locked in with him. And I'll be honest, I didn't pick the trap back up, and I should have. And of course, you're watching live and you get knocked out, and guys are winging traps around, reeling
But
in.
there's a fine line. Talk a little bit about that, because there's a fine line of your depth of your grass being a great chatterbait grass depth and a trap grass depth. There's a fine line. So
When are you gonna pick a
Yeah.
trap up versus a chatterbait?
Yeah,
Because
there- I mean, Go ahead.
we were further back
Exactly.
to where we were on top of the grass, and there was little holes and stuff that we would catch some bass in, but they were really on that transition when it went from timber to grass to the flat.
That's
and,
where
and they were
which was
they
like
were-
that
they were-
5 to
that's
7.
kind of where you were fishing.
I was fishing the outside of that timber, and where the grass started. I was just fishing that grass edge. I seen them in there with active target, and I noticed they were skirting that grass. I was like, dude, I can just come through here and wind this swim bait. Y'all were farther in. So when do you change though?
It's the depth. 2 things. The depth is hugely important. Then the density and the healthiness of the grass, which that grass over there was freaking crispy.
And watercolor.
And water clarity, right? Which I like a off color water for a trap anyways. Very similar to a chatterbait for me.
Yeah.
But it was a little shallower where I was getting more bites at. Like Adrian would say, we were a little further back in the creek. But I did notice, the guys I was watching online, they were fishing a little bit deeper with the trap, of course. But
They were just slid
I
out.
missed that. Yeah, I just missed that. And that's part of it too, But like you said, your boy was on the mother load also. And it got outfished, though. And I ain't too proud to say that.
Yeah, it's part of it, man. It is
It
what it
is.
is. I think I kind of outsmarted myself in that deal too. I was literally on the winning fish, and I left them on knockout round day because there was just so much pressure. Freaking boats buzzing around. My damn graphs were reading like crap because there was interference. Nothing to do with Lawrence or nothing, but it was like
You got
Inter-
six guys. In
there's
one
6
spot.
guys, 6 or 7 guys, and I thought that was a fairly. It wasn't super sneaky, but it was just shallow. It was shallow,
Sure,
and I was
sure.
like, maybe not a lot of guys. There was 6 guys, and one in particular guy was zooming in and out of everybody. Good Lord, he was on a rampage. He was one guy.
You ain't gonna name drop?
Yep. He was,
Let me stop.
one good guy.
Oh my god, bro.
God
Oh
almighty.
my god.
Anyway, but no, man, Conroe was cool seeing different baits. We've seen lipless. We've seen the chatterbaits, seen all that.
And then you fast forward to Harris chain,
Yep.
know, multiple different techniques played.
Flipping.
Yeah, I mean, guys caught them flipping. Guys caught them
Jerking.
jerk baits. I mean, that
Swimming worm. I mean,
you
Swimming
have
worm,
a good combination of it all. Of course,
dragging.
Of course, some anglers are going to still have their time utilizing the forward period and being efficient, because I think that's the biggest thing is like what people don't understand is like the efficiency of that technology and being able to use Active Target 2 and being able to utilize that.
It's
and understand your
undeniable
distance
how great-
of how far you are from an edge of grass or a patch. This is a thick patch or that's a thin patch of grass. You're just 10 times more efficient than you could be by just
incredible.
casting around.
100%.
Well, 100%. And then you got to understand you learn so much. So, like,
Yeah.
for example, like at Harris Chain, you know, they really are relating to grass. And I could tell what edges of grass they were really living on or not. I'm not necessarily looking at them the whole time and just fishing straight off my graph. I just know there's just a lot of fish in the area.
Right.
I'm just, you know, what we used to do years ago is I just pull up, and the hell I still do it, but you just fish until you get a couple bites and say, hey, they might be living here. Well, I know that they're living here, and I got confidence now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's understandable.
You know, and then it gave me confidence to go and do that without that. And I was like, hey, I know they're here.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, I'll also mention this, is like now going in this format of like pulling up on a grass, it's like being able to have forward facing sonar in practice and then not having the tournament. You better have your stuff like dialed precision. Like you know, like a lot of times we would roll up and you mark like a brush pile or grass edge or grass point, and you just sort of like, when you have forward, you just roll up on the waypoint. And it doesn't really matter because you're
Mill around.
You go pan around and
live
take a look.
scope or target's gonna like, you're gonna be able to see. Oh, okay, I'm right here. Make my cast. I'm good.
Yep.
Now it's not that way.
So we shot a video at Harris Chain. Brett, when's the Lawrence video going to post?
It's either just before this one or right after this one.
Okay, well, I'll just tell you this. So me and Jacob have been talking about this, which Adrian runs Lawrence as well, you know, Mark's with Garmin, but like I think you have the same, you want it precise.
100%.
You really got to make sure that your GPS settings of each graph, your distances are correct, because without forward facing, you need to be lined up perfectly. You need to make your cast at 80 feet. You got to make sure your head and everything's straight. So, like, it's really dialing in, because that's the difference between you pulling up and catching that 8-pounder and casting right on top of them on the brush pile or whatever it is and spooking them.
Grass pot. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, like, there's a fine line with the pressure that we have nowadays of making an accurate cast.
Yes.
So we did that video, but yeah, man, I'm liking the new baits. I ain't gonna lie. I get to pull out some other baits in the box.
Well, I think that overall, when you look at that stuff, it's like, all right, like there's no doubt it slows Score Tracker down.
Yeah.
Just want to say
So
that.
like it slows Score Tracker down. So like you're gonna have that period where it goes crazy in certain events where it plays to that extent, where you're like, there's going to be tournaments where you're going to be able to generate just as many bites fishing as you will during forward-facing sonar periods.
There was guys at Harris Chain that never even cut it on.
100%.
And that's what, I mean, there was guys at Conroe. You seen Mark
absolutely.
Davis?
Mark Davis dropped
Mark Davis dropped
the bag, too.
the bag on day one.
Yeah.
He didn't really catch him later on in the tournament, but he dropped the bag, and he
definitely
just,
did.
that was his strength.
Yeah.
Low-key Mark Davis, he amazing.
Unbelievable.
He does.
Shout out Mark Davis, an
Shout
OG in
out.
the game, and I mean, catches them.
Smashing.
Without the box.
Without it, I ain't
just-
never even cut it on.
It's unbelievable.
But I have seen it where you mess around and you don't catch them on your forward-facing sonar period. Like, that burned me at Conroe.
Yeah.
I mean, two of my worst periods were without using the box. So there's definitely a lot of strategy involved, which is big.
Better
You know, this
zip 'em.
sport's all about strategy.
It is.
and figuring out when to use it is definitely neat.
Pressure like now, trying to pick that period.
Oh God! All right, so I'll say this. Let me just get this out. So on the knockout round day at Conroe, dude, I lost 2 or 3. No, I think 5 fish. If y'all watch the knockout video, you seen it was kind of a tragedy. It was not
tragedy.
good. A tragedy. Yeah, it was.
You can't get them back, bro.
No, you can't. And like you got to think about it. Let's just say you missed the cut by 12 or 15 pounds. Well, I just literally reeled in a 615, a 4, and a 3.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Added up, it's 15 pounds down there. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, I just lost 5 in a row, all consecutive. It was unbelievable. And I'm like, oh my God, there's no you can't come back from that. And I've got 33 minutes left. And I'm like, oh, God, if I'd have just had them. So it's one of them things that it puts way more of an emphasis on that time, because if you know that's the winching time that you're going to catch them, you gotta take advantage of it. And you can get behind. Mm-hmm. That's the thing, because somebody, I mean, you got Drew Gill out here, and he's going to catch 50 pounds, or somebody else is going to go and catch them. And it's really hard training your mind to just slow down and take advantage of this and say, hey, I really need to make accurate casts.
I would agree with that, but I think Conroe was an anomaly. Like, that was the
Conroe was a wintertime deal.
80% of the bass were out, where 20% of the bass were on the bank.
Yes.
So, like, in that scenario, like, looking at the season, like, moving into Chickamauga and moving forward, like, it's just a different scenario. Like, you're not always going to be more efficient with forward.
No.
And there's going to be opportunities where you're going to be – and this is the other thing that people have to understand on this scenario is, like, if we feel like it's going to be dominated by that forward-facing sonar period, we're practicing the majority of our time to make sure that we are utilizing that period to the fullest extent.
We talked about this.
And that is super important, because at Conroe, you're sitting there and you're like, of course – I'm going to spend my whole practice to make sure I know what zone I'm going to try to fish in, because you know how impactful that was going to be, because 80% of the bass were out swimming in the middle of the lake.
100%.
Now, Harris chain, completely different story.
Right.
Of course, some anglers might do that. Other anglers might do something a little bit different. And so that's the thing is, like, you just this is what it all comes to strategy.
Yeah.
And for some people, Murray, they might fish the bank more, or they were like, oh, I'm going to do this more. It's just all just dependent on your own personal style, how you like to fish, what your strengths are, and you have to play to that.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
No, I agree. It's big time strategy now, man. And I think for you guys too, the viewer, I think that's one of the coolest things. There's always been a lot of strategy, especially with MLF, with every fish counts. But now, with that one period, and you saw like at Conroe, some guys, Lucas in the top 10, I think he was the only one that opted to utilize it the third period, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think AJ a couple of days was doing the second period.
He did the second period.
Yeah, which he had a really good tournament too. Like, it's just so much that goes into it, and it's so much changing is going on. You know, we got to be on our A game, deciding when we're going to do that. But then also for the viewer, I think it's really cool because you can compare and contrast notes and see kind of, you know, like what decision was better. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it just shows, you know, and it just shows different variety of the fishery too. He caught him over here late,
100%.
and they went off late over here. Well, Spencer Shuffle was another one too. He caught him really good at third period. Just, you know, there's so much going on, man.
There's a
And we
lot
can see
of
all
strategy, and I so it has a lot to do with your personality of an angler as well. Mm-hmm. So, like, all right, so I'll be the first to squash this. I'm gonna squash it.
And you're gonna go and squash it, DC.
I'm gonna squash it.
Put it to bed.
Maybe y'all ain't clicked off yet. Maybe there's a few haters on here. I'd love to squash. I don't really care. Y'all go in. I don't care. So I'll say this. I'll just go through the profile of the anglers you got in front of you right now.
Yeah.
You got Mark Daniels. He's from California.
Yep.
My man has flipped up 11-pounders.
I have, actually.
I mean, literally flipped up
I have.
11-pounders.
That's a good feeling.
You grew up flipping.
Yeah.
11.
You have no problem going and flipping.
No.
You have no problem
Zero.
going up shallow.
Yeah, not much.
Not zero. That's one of your favorite things to do.
You'd rather do that.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
You would rather do that.
Yeah.
Okay? So that is one of your strengths. So anytime that you're in that atmosphere or that kind of tournament, you feel like you're going to have an advantage to it.
Yeah.
But if you were to pick to go flipping or go scoping for that matter, what would you pick?
Depending on the fishery. But more than likely, scoping.
But us, but here's the thing. But us as professional fishermen, we're out here trying to provide for our family.
Man,
and you gotta utilize both any tactics It don't matter if you catching them scoping,
Yeah.
on a jerk bait. If you don't really like throwing a shaky head and they're really biting a shaky head because they're spawning, you got to go against the grain and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, like a well-rounded angler, this is going to make you become a well-rounded angler because if you're not utilizing every period to the fullest, you're not going to win.
Yeah, that's facts.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this sentiment of, well, if they didn't have that active target box, they wouldn't have caught none. Well, I mean, we probably would have caught some, but I'd have practiced a lot more without it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. For the guys who didn't really catch them using it, they kind of wish they'd have practiced more with it.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways.
Well, I think it's just sort of a testament to the sport. Like you look at like growing up, like watching Denny Brower, watching Dean Rojas, watching Kevin. I think it was more of a specialist sport.
Yes.
It was a very driven by a certain technique.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
And so it's like now it's very much so a generalist. You have to. There's so much information out there with YouTube and live. And
I know.
Like it
It's
used
crazy.
to be like, I mean, think about it. I mean, Kevin was talking about it this year. He's had a little hit where he was like, heck, he had a couple baits to himself for 10 years.
10
He
years.
literally would tell Zona, we're not talking about that. And he would be able to like cut those baits out of live coverage or of the actual TV show and be able to highlight a 6XD or whatever he was throwing.
Right.
So like that was like that era is changed. Now everybody realizes they have to be great at finesse fishing. You have to be good at flipping. You have to be good at topwater fishing.
You have to be
You
good at
power
four-faced
fishing.
sonar.
You have to be good at exactly.
You have to.
So there's in this scenario it's just changed. The sport has changed in that way. And there's some anglers that of course are great minnow fishermen or great shaky head or Nico rig fishermen, but you also have to do multiple other things to that. If you're going to win an angler of the year, if you're going to win
Just a tournament
consistent
for that matter.
tournaments, and you have to be
100%.
So
you have
that's-
to be ready to roll.
I think that's your niche as an angler.
Hey,
Yeah,
but at the same time, tell me you don't miss all of us. I want to hear your opinion on it. Those specialists that you spoke of, that was such a cool time of the
100%
sport.
was.
No, you still see it.
Yeah, the specialists at four-face sonar.
Well, you see that. you still see that, but here's the thing.
There is that.
You still see that, but you're seeing a specialist with strategy now.
Yes.
So
that's what Jacob was saying.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
see
yeah.
someone that perfected both
Yes.
deals.
or
They
three different deals.
they utilized that 2.5 hours, and then they utilized the 5 to where they were forced to do that. Mm-hmm. And when you see a man outfish guys in 5 hours and outfish them, they were the best angler that week.
That's fact.
They deserve to win.
Yep.
And that's hands down.
I can't-
And it don't matter if they
can't
catch
disagree with
50
that.
pounds with forward-facing sonar and 30 with this, but
Yeah.
if they outfish both them guys,
Yeah.
they were going to win that week no matter
No matter
what.
what.
Hey,
Yes.
low key, this
see what I'm saying?
format was designed for Jacob Wheeler. We all know that.
He designed
we all
it.
know that.
Hey,
We
hey,
all know
DC.
that. No.
He came up with it.
No, I did not.
He's the one that came up
He
with
came
it.
up with it.
Man, I
Yeah.
think we're going to do this.
Yeah, yeah.
But hey, I'll be honest with you. It is relieving. I'll say this. And I've had a ton of success with forward-face sonar. I've had success without it. I've won Rookie of the Year. I've made a Classic. I've won an Elite Series tournament. I've won an Open. I've won numerous tournaments at the house. In case nobody known, I've actually caught a bass without it. But we're talking about niche, a niche for an angler. Kevin Van Dam, for example.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the sport. I've watched Kevin my whole life. Shout out Kevin. But I would say 80% of his tournaments that he has won and held a trophy, they were offshore and off the bank. Now, what I mean by Catawachi, off the bank.
Yeah.
He wasn't in Venice
yeah,
flipping.
Yeah.
Beeswax, off the bank.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was trapping on grass.
Yep.
I can count Kentucky Lake. You can
Yeah,
count
just
all
so
Gunner.
many.
I mean, all
The list
of
is long,
these.
bruh.
Grand Lake.
Grand
Yeah.
Lake. I
The
mean,
list is long,
you
yeah.
see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So
always
Kevin
a little
was
bit.
the OG. No, I wouldn't even say OG, but he was the offshore
OG
guru.
was David Fritz.
Oh,
And
yeah,
Paul
exactly.
Elias.
But Kevin had the niche, and that was his deal.
Power fishing off the
Power
bank.
fishing off the bank.
Yeah.
And then you had guys that were, their niche was, I know I can't beat Kevin off the bank, so I'm going to go skip docks. I'm going to be
Or
an Andy
flip.
Morgan.
flip.
And
Like
I'm going
drag
to
hack.
lay this stuff in there.
Yep.
You know, and they're going to have their time.
100%.
And then they're going to beat Kevin.
But
and then Kevin's
consistently-
going to, but consistently offshore typically wins tournaments. That's just the way it is. So, like, you have seen that progress in this sport, and then I knew that probably 4 years ago. I'll tell you the moment changed whenever I realized this. You know exactly where it was at. He does. I was at St. Clair. I pulled over there to him. Now, this was back
Yeah, when you talking?
2020.
Okay.
2020
COVID
St. Clair.
year.
I was sitting there, and I'm out there just pitching around on St. Clair like we used to, plinking. And what I mean by that is, back in the day, believe it or not, I used to go to St. Clair before four-phase sonar, and you had to go plinking. And what I mean by that is, you just go in the area and you just start pitching around, and if you got a bite, if you got 2 bites in that area, it was like you were flipping.
Yeah.
But for smallmouth, I got 5 bites in the area. I'm gonna go back in the area and just mill around. And you just make a pitch and you shake, and you make a pitch and you shake, and you see a gummy worm underneath you, and you just drop underneath your boat real quick, and you catch them because you got 83 kilohertz.
Straight up.
I done did that stuff a million times. But like, that was back in the day, and I was out there in a tournament, and Jacob had just got the 32 or something. It was one of the first live scopes or whatever. It was
32.
literally first
Oh, yeah, LBS
generation.
32.
Yep.
Well, anyway, I'm sitting there fishing, and I talked to him. Jacob rolled up. He wanted a sandwich or something out of my boat, maybe some big cups. and Jacob, he did this. He went, wee. And he said, dude, you got a couple over near your boat. And I went, really? And he zipped one right beside me, and I was like, what?
The hell is that?
I almost cussed. You know, what the is that? What is that? Hey, look, and then he went, ping, zzz, another 4-pounder. I went,
I want what you
Hold
got.
on.
I said,
What is that?
what is that?
Straight up.
I didn't have that. So anyway, I didn't have that. And I was like,
really
dang,
good.
dude, I'm way behind. You bet your ass. And about a month later, I went and got.
Okay.
And I started learning.
Okay.
I learned. I practiced that whole fall. The first summer I fished with the Active Target 1, I won it. It was red crest at Lake Eufaula on brush piles, and I utilized that, and I realized that was a niche that I could kind of really learn, and I enjoyed the crap out of it. I still to this day. So niche stuff.
Yeah.
Adrian, niche tidal water fisherman. You know, if you're in a tidal tournament, you are a threat. I know
I'll
that.
catch some. I'll catch some.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm
You
gonna
look
ca-
forward
I'm
to
gonna-
Potomac.
I'm gonna catch some on Potomac.
Potomac, that's what I'm saying. You looking forward to
Guaranteed
Potomac.
He looking
Okay,
forward
so-
to that one. Just make sure you got them blue crabs for your boy.
But one thing that you have
Yeah,
to sort
that's
of
it.
mention on this though too is like the sport has always been this way. So like in the scenario of whoever's on the front edge of technology or on the front edge of something,
New baits.
new baits.
Yep.
Like even like jumping back to like the David Fritz and the Paul Ice area of kneeling reeling, they were the pioneers of cranking around points and getting offshore, finding schools of fish in 8 to 12 foot of water.
Yes.
Like where Kevin or Thrift was one of the most dominant anglers for years with 360
Yeah.
to guys understanding 2D out there on Buffalo and dropping
Amar
on.
finesse.
Oh, unbelievable. Amar, insanely great.
Insane.
And just one of the absolute best
Yeah.
all the time. It just like always there was like what's crazy is you don't understand is like everybody's at a certain level at this level. Like they're professional anglers, they're really good, they can skip docks and do all these things. But 5% better is insanely more
Yeah.
impactful than you would think. Like it's like it's just being 5% better than the next guy is the difference between a 80th place finish and a top 10.
Yes.
That's the it is such a fine line
Yeah, it is.
that people do not quite understand that, but because everybody's good out here. Like every one of us can do the same thing, but it's like
These
funny.
local anglers are freaking awesome.
Oh, dang
Dude,
straight.
I have fished against some damn hammers around my house my whole life, and I promise you, they could come out here tomorrow and compete.
Oh, yeah, for
and
sure.
and you
Yeah.
know, and I think about that all the time, and I'm like, all right, if you organized a group of guys that were just absolute local hammers that dominated a lot of tournaments, that's this group of guys we fish against. Every one of these guys, they fished around their house and they freaking smashed.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you get them out here on the road and they're all doing their deal.
Yeah.
If it's that week and it's doing that deal, they gonna catch their. They gonna catch them.
Yeah, they gonna get caught
I mean, unless you're Jacob, then you just catch them everywhere.
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 No.
J-Dub.
No.
So
I got one question before we wrap up because we are running on time now. So I know we keep harping back on Conroe, right? But, and I know the answer to this is what I want to ask the other guys. Now that you get to slow down, right? It's not like I've got to have forward facing on all the time because I'm going to get beat if I don't.
it's a relief.
You get to slow down. When you get a big bite not using forward facing, does that feel different than when you were using forward facing? And the reason I asked this, you caught a 615 on forward facing, and you were like, wow, that's big. That was good. Then you caught a 6 knot, and you lost your mind.
Yeah, it was. I think it's the. I think there is a. I have to be careful because the haters will go in on this, and I know you will, and that's fine. That's fine. You know, fishing. There's always been that factor of the unknown.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is I would get excited if I was sight fishing a 6-pounder. I think it's just a different technique, a different deal. Like, dude, she knocked slack in my dangum swim bait, and it just happens when you don't really know when it's going to happen. Right. The same way, like, let's say you're flipping. I would get pumped up at flipping. But I've just caught so many on daggum forward-facing sonar now. I'm like, dude, I've caught the crap out of them. I got done at Toledo, and I caught freaking 5-pounders, you know, left and right because they were suspended all out in the middle. But, like, I don't care what anybody says to the end of this day. I like catching them on forward-facing sonar. When one slack lines a swim bait, it don't get no better.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just don't. I don't. That bite of one knocking freaking slack, 3 foot of slack in your line, and you're reeling a bait. That's what it's about.
There's something special.
Yes.
There is. I mean, dude, I remember Florida just, you know, we had it cut off and just flipping some reeds and just watching reeds shake. And, like, just the suspense of choking up on it, seeing if he's got it or not, you know? So there's definitely a factor there that is pretty special. And I'm not going to lie, a bite without forward-facing sonar to me is way better than
It feels better.
Like, I love it when they glow. Like, I remember you told me a story. I don't know what lake you fished, but you had like a 12-pounder, or you thought was a 12-pounder hot on your jerk bait, and you had your blood boiling, and you're like, you know, you're getting real nervous.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, when you get a bite, when you're just casting a worm or you're just flipping, dude, there's just something. There's just something about it. You have no idea if it's going to be 10, if it's going to be a 2-pounder.
Or a top water bite.
It's just, I mean, it's hard, man.
It is.
It's the unknown, man.
But at the end of the day, we like reeling them in. So,
we like catching them. Look, I love forward face sonar. Love it for catching them. Do it all the time. It's awesome, right? I love it. But that's the known.
You
living in the known.
Fish, you see the dot, or you understand, like, there's one there. You might get an understanding what he is. So it's 2.5 to 4 pounder somewhere in there.
Right.
Like, so you have a lot more information than you would.
Listen, he like low key didn't showed you, like, when you get pulled over by the police, he didn't showed you his ID.
Well,
Largemouth bass, 2 to 4 pounds.
Hey, I'll
5
say
feet
this.
of water, swimming toward me.
Back when we were idling, Mark, so I'd be on them rock piles. And now everybody fishes them on the Coosa River. So I'll be on them rock piles, and I idle over. When I had it down to a daggum science, I could look on my down imaging.
Yeah.
Them was all pound and a half, 2 pounders.
Yep.
I would already know.
Yeah.
I'd pull up. When I set the hook, I'm just reeling in 2-pounders, and I'm like, all right. I catch about 3 or 4 of them, and I just dip on out.
Yeah.
But then when, let's say you're on Tennessee River, and you see some damn bowling balls,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like 10 of them there, you're like,
Yeah. Get ready.
Don't mess this up.
Yeah.
And you know if one of them bowling balls bite, he's going to be a 6+.
Yeah.
And it don't happen a lot of times. But Jacob knows exactly what I'm talking about. You know the difference. And when you roll up, like, dude, if we hook 5 of them, we're going to have a bag.
Yeah.
So there was that same little equivalent there because you knew the size of them.
No doubt. There is.
Yeah.
There is no doubt. There is.
Yeah.
There definitely is.
But the unknown is cool.
But the unknown, bruh. You dive that big weight in that mat, bruh, and it go doink. And but look, whole time he a 10-incher though.
90% of the time he is 10
Hey,
inches.
he 10 inches. Look,
Hey,
he
look.
a swamp bat. But look, but you hey, listen,
Swamp bat.
you ain't been this excited all day.
Because you ain't had many bites.
Okay. Doink. Well, that probably that's right too.
They've been swimming behind your boat all day. 6-pounders just cruising behind your boat, and you over here flipping reeds. I'm like, well, maybe they'll turn on here in a little bit.
But look, but the excitement,
coming. They're coming.
hey, the
They're
excitement,
coming.
bruh, when you get bit doing that, you can't.
Ain't nothing better.
Ain't nothing
There
better,
ain't
bruh.
nothing
Oh, me.
That's but you know, hey,
All right, y'all.
teach his own, man.
There's
You
an
know?
emergence happening. I do feel like there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of less pressure on a lot of areas. You're starting to see some new baits play. We're seeing that with the Bass Pro Tour season. New baits, new me, new year, new y'all. I caught them on a dang mayor and did all that. I ain't thrown a daggum mayor. I mean, I ain't thrown a belly weight swim bait in a long time. I think it's been forgotten. But, dude, I socked some big ones at Conroe. We caught them at daggum Harris chain with it, you know, and it's been good. So we're going to keep the season rolling. We're just going to hop on here, have a little talk this afternoon. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all be sure to follow Adrian, Jacob, Mark, and follow us the rest of the season. Be sure to like these guys on socials and YouTube. We'll see y'all.
Peace.